Hi everyone. Well, I am Alankrita Bhuya, psychotherapist associated with ISKA Wellness, and today I will speak on something about understanding emotional needs of children. Before I start, so this video will be saved as an IGTV so that you can visit our page and see it anytime you want. Well, understanding children's need is today's topic, and it is mostly on understanding the emotional needs of children. Now, emotion and children, this concept is a very popular concept, and children and emotion, they go hand in hand, right? So there are things in our physical realm out there like air, water, sunlight, everything, so these are the things which we can feel, see, and even touch. And there are things like affection, companionship, and then appreciation, security. So these are certain things which we cannot touch, but these are very important and valuable things in life. Well, when we talk about children, it is really very important for them to understand these concepts right from a very basic age, so that it really gives them a sense of empowerment when they grows up into becoming adolescents and adults. All right. Well, few things which are very important when we are talking about emotional needs of a child is, first of all, the child's bonding with parents. How is the child behaving, and what is the kind of, what patterns are they following, and what are the basic principles which they have learned, probably by observing or even by imitating someone. And it is in case of children, it is mostly the parents. Well, so let's get started with, first, today I want to focus on few core concepts. So these core concepts are about what a parent should usually do with a child. Okay, so the number one point, or the first point, is that need to develop a secure attachment. So each child, and it is a parent child bond, right? So each parent child, and they should understand the need to develop a secure attachment, and especially the child understanding this attachment, this security with the caregivers. And when I am talking about caregivers, in this case it is mostly with the parents, it is with the mother, it is with the father. Now, why is it very important? Now, security and attachment are two really very big concepts for a child to understand. But of course, this concept begins right when the child is born, and then it is kind of a continuous process. So secure attachment characterizes the early relationship patterns. So however the relationship patterns are with the parents, the parent child relationship, however it is, so that relationship is very important, because understanding that, and based on that relationship, it is like a foundation. So based on that relationship, the child further understands different kind of relationship as the child grows up. So it is very important for the future, mostly because there are the belief patterns, there is a lot of thought process, there is a lot of way of responding which the child, they imitates or they observe their parents and they try to inculcate those. So again, how are these attached with emotions? Security is one strong emotion, it is one strong feeling associated with strong emotions which a child feels. Therefore, it is very, very important for parents or caregivers to understand that a young child, will not understand these concepts in terms of words, but they will understand these concepts in terms of how they are being treated, what is the bonding between them. Okay, so this brings the second concept of the capacity to express their needs. So understanding the child's capacity to express their needs and valuing their needs. So here a very important factor is that what are the beliefs and expectations. So the beliefs and expectations are something which the child takes from parents. Okay, a young child will again not understand the concept of belief and what to expect, what to believe in. So therefore the child, they always looks up to some they look up to an authoritative figure. So parents should try to accurately reflect certain behavior, or parents should try to reflect what are the different kind of behavior that is being expressed by the child. So if it is good if the parents reflects back all those. Now for a child, they might not be able to express everything well. Okay, for a child, they might not know how to express, and therefore sometimes what happens, most of the emotions, they remains unexpressed. Most of the time the emotions, they remain suppressed, or mostly parents or elders, what they do, if a child is not doing something right, the parent will always try to go and correct right then and there. So this is a concept which the child will understand but will not accept it open heartedly, because correcting a child immediately when the child is making a mistake, I personally feel that it should be done, but not immediately. Let the child explore that mistake, whatever mistake the child is doing, let the child explore that mistake. So yes, now talking about what happens when emotions are unexpressed or remains suppressed. Of course, a child will not remain as a child forever. The child will grow up, and as the child grows up, if the child at some point of time was not being expressive, will try to follow that particular pattern, and so the child obviously will grow following that particular pattern, which is not that great. Probably at some point of life and time, certain patterns might be dysfunctional. Okay, so here it is really very important for the parents to show some trust on the child, whatever they are doing. Even if the child expresses something very excitedly, probably in a public place where the child is not supposed to act in a particular manner, still the parents should try to reflect back in a very proper, in a very subtle manner, because this is what the child needs, and it will give them a sense of confidence. It will really boost up their confidence, and this sets the foundation of something which we called as emotional regulation. So the child understands that even their coping mechanism, coping pattern, or even when the child expresses something which it should not do at some particular place, okay, say it in a public place or maybe in a big gathering, even if the child is not supposed to do that way, express certain things like that, still the parent, they should try to not outburst, they should not try to stop the child, or they should not try to embarrass or demean the child then and there. Instead, they should try to just reflect to what the child is saying, understand what the child is trying to say. And sometimes what happens, there might be some non-verbal cues at the same time. It is not necessary that every time a child will only express through verbal cues. Most of the time the child also expresses through non-verbal cues, and these non-verbal cues are so important. I mean, it is good if the child, expresses non-verbal cues at times, because what happens, they might not be able to always come up with certain words at all the time. So therefore it is also important on the parents' part to understand what is the child trying to say. And therefore trying to understand the child means there is an addition to, probably boost up the bonding between the both, okay. So therefore it is always better if the child is not being humiliated. Instead, this will help in emotional regulation of the child, even if it is very distressing at times. All right. So with this, I come to the third point, which is need for spontaneity in play. Now, play and children are something which goes hand in hand. So play is a very, very powerful tool and a technique through which a child can develop, a child learns, okay. So it is kind of a building block of the brain, which starts developing right in the formative years. So again, we know a lot of therapies as well. There are play therapies, there are different kinds of play therapy. Then there are art-based therapies also for children. So why are these important? There is drama. So there are many other things which is involved in play therapy, like drama, dance, movement. So these are different kinds of approaches, which of course it is used in a proper intervention center. But apart from these, it is very important for the child and the parent to engage in some sort of play, especially unstructured play. So why unstructured play? First, let us focus on structured play. We all know what a structured play will lead to. For example, a child playing cricket, or probably a child playing right in the formative years. What do they play? School, or student teacher. So there are plays which, in which the child and the parent probably have to do some role playing as well. So unstructured play is that kind of a play where the parents allows the child to take a lead, okay. Because the parent allows the child to take a lead, so the parent becomes just a curious observer of the entire play and lets the child take the lead. So here the parent can understand the different, techniques of play the child comes up with. Also, it is very critical, okay. It is critical because there is no proper structure to it. And spontaneity, play is important in a child, because it helps in development in the right hemisphere of the brain. Now, why it is important? Because again, the right hemisphere, or the right side of the brain, is mostly responsible for creativity, and it really enhances the visual spatial aspect, the the kinesthetic aspect. So it really gives the child a very fertile place. It gives the child a very fertile ground to be very creative, and they can come up with different sort of play. Now, why is it important? Because this will not only enhance the bond between the child and the parent, but it will really help in understanding the critical aspects of play. Now, when the child is playing, the child is not only playing, but there are other aspects, like the child will learn to solve problem, the child also learns to make decision. The child, it gives a sense of autonomy, which brings me to the fourth point. It gives the child autonomy. So it is so important for as parents or as adults to provide provide children, basically provide children with such a space, with such freedom, that the child understands that I should take I should take my own responsibility. So these are few things which should not be kept for the child to make him or her understand as they grow up. It is not necessary, but these are very important concepts which, if taught to the child in an early age, it is really very helpful. I have seen most of the parents, they really are very protective, or we can also use the term mollycoddle. So they mollycoddle the child, and they will try to wrap up the child in the protective layer and not allow the child to move around freely, to take independent decisions. This is not great. Okay, this is not helpful at all, because the moment the child is restricted, they will lose a sense of their identity. And for a child, their identity is something which is very important. If the child is not given proper freedom, in according to age, of course, according to age, then the child will not be able to fully function well. And when the child grows up to an adolescent, to an adult, there will be many other problems which the child might face towards as the child grows up. All right. So again, while we are giving autonomy to the child is not only independent, but it will also help them to understand the need of boundary and to set limits. It really helps in development of a realistic sense of self. Now, when the child learns to create boundaries, and when a child learns to set limits to certain things, this will help them to deal with their own capabilities, and also to understand how others function. So most of the time, what happens whenever a child does some mistake, the very common reaction is that they will either be scolded, or they will probably they will be humiliated in public, or these are the common instances. But it is not necessary that every time a child makes a mistake that you have to scold them. While we do that, they, as I already mentioned, they lose a part of their self identity, which is not that great in their development process. Because if the child is developing in a very restrictive manner, in a very restricted environment, they will never understand the potential they have. Okay. And many a times, what happens, even now, most of us, we follow certain patterns in our life. It is either we replicate certain patterns from our parents, it is either from our mother, either it is from our father, or sometimes we may have certain qualities which probably we might have taken from our grandparents. I'm not saying that it is something which is bad, it is good. But while a person is only focusing on unconsciously, when a person is only focusing on coming out of a situation, or responding or reacting to a situation based on the patterns which they have always been following under the guidance of their parents, this will somehow at some point of time restrict them to move ahead and come up with their own opinion. So therefore all these should be taken care while the child is in their formative age. So yes, these are the few important points which I thought of sharing it with you. And I will again just go through the points. Firstly, the child, it is very important to develop a secure attachment with a caregiver or parents. Then the capacity to express their needs and emotions, and then to induce the parent and child, both of them should take part in some sort of play activity, maybe at home, wherever it is, but there should be some form of play activity. And then developing sense of autonomy, and finally need for setting up boundaries and setting limits. Well, these all are very much important in developing emotional aspects of a child, because the more nourishment they get from all these aspects, the more emotional regulation will be better. So yes, this was it, very short, and I didn't want to keep it very long. And thank you for joining us. And yes, this will be saved as an IGTV in our ISKA Wellness page. So keep following us and take care. Bye bye.